Marvin designs windows and doors with quality, energy efficiency, and well-being at the top of mind. Explore the possibilities and find the ideal solution for your project at Windows and Doors by Brownell. We value our architectural relationships and have the services, resources, and people to help get the job done right. Windows and Doors by Brownell. You create the spaces, we help with the details. Proudly a 100% employee-owned company.
Hey, Brian Stoll, President of Crown Point Cabinetry. I want to take this opportunity to thank our friends at AIA Vermont for working with us over the years. I also want to take this opportunity to invite you to our amazing state-of-the-art facility in Claremont, New Hampshire. We have a gorgeous showroom. I promise you it's worth the trip.
I just thought this one was tastefully done. It was simple. Sitting in, in the landscape there.
The same natural materials that they used on the existing barn or something similar. It really just looks like it's always been there. And I really liked that kind of historical permanence and that aspect of the exterior aesthetic of the building. It's simple and clean and looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I also thought the same. I immediately looked at it and went clean machine, the same type of wording as you guys, and it looks like it's belonged there.
When I was looking at this building, I liked that aspect of it, that it was overly simple, because this is a place of rest and rejuvenation. This isn't someone's main living home. It's somewhere they spend some time at, a getaway of sorts. And so I liked that the architecture surrounding the exterior and interior of this building was calm, was simple, was a place to rest when our lives tend to be so busy.
So for me, I think they did a very good job. I know sometime from a laboratory standpoint, it can be sometimes challenging to provide as much daylighting as they did, for example, in this particular building, because of the amount of function and spaces that and cabinetry equipment that we have to provide tends to kind of tie our hands a little bit. And so I was very happy to see the level of daylighting that they were able to provide throughout the space, right? I think they did a good job to implanting the building and using native landscaping and vegetation. They also did a very good job, and I actually would be wanting to talk to them about their energy efficiency level being at 60%. Laboratory spaces tend to be very energy intensive because of the amount of air changes that we have to provide in those particular types of buildings. It does get pretty difficult to hit certain marks. So I commend them on really being able to hit a 60% better than baseline that is outstanding.
Nice job of getting a lot of daylight in there as much as possible. And I think the outside of the building, the exterior, the detailing, material choice, I think it sits in the landscape pretty well. Landscape design architect, whoever was involved, seemed like they did a pretty nice job getting it to meet the ground.
And no, one of the other things that I thought was also really nice that they did, which we don't always get to do that in government facilities, is I noticed that, and I think that's one of the reasons why I gave him a point, I think, for community and maybe integration was adding a teaching lab, right? Adding a teaching lab that is open to the student population to be able to come and use some of the, part of the facility here. We, on the government side, a lot of times we end up having fairly strict requirements for access, and that they were able to have that integration and kind of give back to the community in that particular setting, I think is to be applauded.
From a performance standpoint, net zero, it had a whole list of things that it accomplished. And then from a design standpoint, which, we are architects, that's what we do. I thought it was nicely done, nicely detailed on the outside, proportions, massing, window composition, the experience from going outside to inside, and just the interior being probably a bit more tied together, or at least comprehensive and feeling good.
It has a nod to the vernacular of Vermont, but they still took that vernacular, I think, and elevated it to a different level, right? Through the use of that black and bold color. You look at the work that they've done from a level of comfort, looking at the quality of the light that you get within the spaces, looking at what they've done throughout all the spaces. You look at the detailing, you look at what they've done from an energy standpoint. You look at the warm wood tones that they've provided and balanced that with all the white and the contrast with the black. I mean, it is a house that I think is very well done.
It was a reuse of an existing building. I thought that was pretty daring. After a fire, it's usually just a giant mess. And I see like the trusses here being pretty well used and exposed. And I like the open character of it in places, but generally a reuse and a repurpose of existing structure, making it up to date and functional.
Yeah, I thought that for what this building was, obviously existing building, fire damage, and at whatever this school is, obviously there's a really strong design language vernacular there. So the work that was done on the outside, with some subtle modern touches, but still very in the vein of what's going on there. Like, from the exterior standpoint, that part of the design probably was never had much in the cards to change much, just due to the language going on there. But I thought the interior, basically things opened up where they could, and just if I could imagine what the inside of the old building looked like before the fire, that the new one is much brighter brighter, more friendly, open, and kind of the new, sense of life in there, if you will. That is a nice surprise, so to speak. Again, not knowing what it looks like exactly on the inside, but from the outside, it's relatively unassuming, and it matches all the other, immediate buildings around there. But to go inside and have a nice little shot of life in there is good, I think.
I look at these pictures right here with the, they did a really good job, for example, from a detailing and character standpoint with the exposure of these columns and, bringing the wood and the warmth into that space.
So you can see in image 5, it's an exterior image, how they have taken the language of the existing building and integrated that into the new facade, but opened up those windows and that light potential significantly if you look kind of further down, which I think improved the space a lot for patrons. If you look at those older photos, there's not a lot of them, but there's a limited amount of light due to the openings, and they have really maximized those openings while keeping the same language on the outside and honoring the history of the building while upgrading it on the interior to provide a more current approach to education and collaboration. I particularly liked the floor plan of this facility because it's not a double loaded corridor straight down. There are some collaboration areas that break up those offices and other areas that allow all of the patrons to enjoy and use that natural light. You can see on the second floor, there are some collaboration spaces that are open to below and beyond, that aren't just classrooms or individual rooms or office or education, which I thought was a fantastic improvement to a traditional building.
I thought they did a pretty good job with siting the property. I liked the way they handled a lot of the water resources by lifting, and water management by lifting the property up, allowing for 3-floor water, providing for a lot of that, a lot of the gravel below. I thought that from the house, from the interior, you had very good daylighting. You could also see, you were always able to see in or out wherever you were. I think the transition between the material was, they had fairly simple shapes. The rhythm was very good, I think, on the house.
This is excellent. This is really, really, really good. And the way they handled the slope coming down through the house, I think it's outstanding. And that's why I gave it an 8, I believe. 8. And I thought this was very nice. Very, very nice. It's very regular, and I think it's well proportioned, really quite well. Did a lot of.
And I think everything fit. In this particular case, and everything seems to just fall in place the way it's supposed to, right? I think there was some pretty good attention to detail.